Every month of every year of every individual's existence, Allah is fully focused on the needs of this individual, and not only is He focused, but He's satisfying the needs of this individual. This is the Allah we have to understand. This is the Allah we have to recognize. That how can this be that 6 billion people inside of this world, each one with a different need, each one with a different requirement. To say it is very easy, to listen is very easy, to even think and ponder over it is easy. But to try and just, my dear respected brothers and elders, grasp the whole concept that 6 billion people, every single need of theirs is being fulfilled by one Allah. That's not including the other creation. Approximately 18,000 creation inside of this world. We are just one. So Allah is satisfying the needs of 18,000 creations at one and the same time. This is the Allah that we have to recognize. Today we have recognized everything of this world, yet we have not recognized the creator of this world. We've recognized the powers of this world, we have not recognized our own power. The fact that through La ilaha illallah, through just saying that, Allah's tawajjuh, Allah's dhyan, Allah's focus is geared towards you and me. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they understood this. So when they used to say La ilaha illallah and they used to raise their hands to Allah, when they respected brothers, Allah fulfilled their needs. For them to walk on water became easy. For them to make one airline which would travel thousands of miles became easy. Today, my dear respected brothers and elders, Allah forgive, the development of the world has taken our yaqeen from Allah away from us. For us to imagine how one person can make airline in one country and one Sahaba in another country can listen to that airline, we cannot imagine that. Yet now with mobile phones, yeah, it's possible. Through a radio, yes, it's possible. Yet when we say illallah, except Allah can do this, we think, not sure. This is the yaqeen, my dear respected brothers and sisters, that remove everything from the heart, take away our belief in everything, take away our conviction in everything, bring the conviction in one Allah. That Allah, my dear respected brothers and elders, that Allah who is so great, who is so powerful, who is so merciful, that every single day we disobey Him, we go against His commands, we look at those things we are not supposed to look at, we listen to those things we are not supposed to listen to, we talk about those things we are not supposed to talk about, we desire those things that Allah has told us not to desire. We do not look at those things we are supposed to look at. We do not talk about those things we are supposed to talk about. We do not listen to those things we are supposed to listen to. And we do not think or desire those things we are supposed to think and desire. Yet even then, Allah does not neglect us. Even then, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfills every one of our needs. So my dear respected brothers and elders, like I said right at the beginning, have we truly understood Allah? Have we really understood Allah? When we wake up in the morning and we go to sleep at night, do we take account of our 24-hour daily life and think, how much of this life that I have lived in this last 24 hours was my doing and how much was Allah's doing? How much was because of my strength and my abilities and my intelligence and my job and my family and my friends? And how much was it through the hukam and the command and the mercy and the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How much, my dear respected brothers and elders, was I really in control of, and how much is Allah in control of? The Sahaba, they understood The du'as that we are asked to pray, the Masnoon du'as over and over and over again, that is to give us the understanding that us, you and me, are impossible. It is impossible for us to control and do anything. Simple example in this current environment and climate, when we pray the dua of safar, when we get inside of the car and we drive, the dua to me means that you are in control of this animal, Ya Allah, we are not in control of this. When we are driving and we hit some black ice or some snow and the car veers left and right and we start to worry that I'm not in control, this is what this dua is telling us, that truly you're not in control. We have the best of cars, we are the best of drivers, yet we hit some black ice and we go to the left and to the right. We are not in control. Our life is not our control. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided everything for us in this life. Allah is sustaining us, providing for us, giving us everything. In return, Allah asks one thing from us, that you live your life in obedience to me. Live our life in obedience to Allah. What Allah wants, we have to recognize. What Allah needs, we have to recognize. Remember, Allah is not in need of our ibadat or our worship. Allah is not in need for us coming into this environment. Allah is not in need from us for anything. Every step, every breath, every blink of an eye, every movement of our hands, every step that we take, every word that we speak, everything that we hear, every thought that we have, every beat of our heart, we are in need of Allah. Nothing, my dear respected brothers and elders, nothing can allow me to exist except Allah. The doctors, the professionals, the experts, the specialists are incapable if Allah has decided that this person's life is going to end. All the machinery, all the education, all the studying, all the experience, all the expertise, everything is present. And if Allah has decided that this person is going to leave this world, nothing can change that decision. And yet a person, he's at the throes of death. The family have given up on him. The doctors have given up on him. The medication has been stopped. Everything has been stopped. Even a machine has been stopped. Yet if Allah decides to give him life, he'll be walking and talking and eating and breathing like the rest of us. What conviction have we brought into our hearts? What belief have we brought into our hearts? What reality have we got inside of our life? Is it the reality of the world or the reality of the hereafter? Is it the reality of creation or the reality of the Creator? Is it the reality of dunya or is it the reality of akhirah? Is it the reality, my dear respected brothers and elders, that I am capable and I am doing what I am doing because of my efforts? Or have we understood that everything I am doing is purely because of the gift and the ni'mat and the shukr and the will of Allah? You and me, my dear respected brothers and elders, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the greatest of gifts. He has given us Iman. He has given us the ability to understand Him. He has given us the ability through which we can recognize Him. He has given us the ability through which we can get in communication with Him. He has given the ability through which we can make a connection with Him. Yet, even though all of these networks have been provided to us, all of these opportunities have been given to us, all of these doorways are open for us, all of these pathways are available to us, yet, my dear respected brothers and elders, we are still not walking along that lifestyle which will bring us in connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our life is empty. Our life is devoid of the understanding of Allah. Our life is empty. It is devoid of the understanding of Allah. Our life is empty. It is devoid of the fear of Allah. Our life is empty. It is devoid of the love of Allah. Jannat and Jahannam Allah has created, which will be the decision He will make when you and me go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether we enter paradise, whether we enter Jahannam, that is a decision Allah will have to make, dependent on what? Dependent on the condition that He gave us in this life, which was how and when and in what way do we live our life in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything inside of our life, with due respect, is a gauge of our love of Allah, is a gauge of our connection with Allah, is a gauge of our dependence on Allah, is a gauge of our awareness of Allah, is a gauge of our fear of Allah. Everything that we do. Look at every action inside of your bodies. Look at every action in your 24-hour daily life. Realize what it is that is driving you to do this action. Make yourself aware of what it is that is pushing you towards a particular pathway. And then you will start to realize that the life we are living, that life, with due respect, brothers and elders, we are living devoid of the awareness of Allah. How often do we spend a whole day and yet we have not once thought about the greatness of Allah? We have not thought how many days, hours, minutes have gone by, and yet we have not thought about the fact that one day we're going to go 6 foot under the ground. How much time has passed away, yet we have not thought, what will I stand tomorrow on the day of judgment? What will I stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with? What will be the deeds that will be read out from my books? How will I be able to convince Allah that I lived a life of obedience? In the world, I had the ability and the gift of the gab to work my way out of all different situations. But tomorrow on the day of judgment, when this zaban, this tongue of ours, will be given no power of speech at all, what will we do then? When the rest of our body will start to give account of our life, that very body that Allah has given to us as a gift, as a loan, that very body that today, instead of using these ni'mats that Allah has given inside of this body to fulfill the commands of Allah, we are using that very body to break the commands of Allah. Those legs that we should be using to make effort for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're using those very legs to move away from the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those hands that we are supposed to use to hold things in the way of to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are using those very hands to do things which are displeasing to Allah. Those eyes, those ears, everything, with due respect to brothers and elders, will speak tomorrow on the day of judgment. We will not be able to control, like when you have pins and needles and you want to try and walk, you want to try and make your leg move in a particular way, but you're not able to move that leg. You want to move your hand in a particular way, but for a few seconds you're not able to control that hand. Why? Because of these pins and needles. In the same way, tomorrow on the day of judgment, my dear respected brothers, we will try to think mentally that how can I stop my hand or my leg or another part of my body from talking, but we will be incapable of stopping them. What will happen on that day, my dear respected brothers and sisters, when the book of deeds will be open in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We will have no one but ourselves to blame. Today we can blame 1,000,000 people because of this and because of this and because of this. Tomorrow, my dear respected brothers and elders, we will have no one to blame. When the Prophet ﷺ came into this world, my dear respected brothers and elders, we know the situation of the people, steeped in ignorance to an extent where even in this day and age, if a group of people were living that sort of a lifestyle, the whole world would be in uproar. The whole world would be in uproar. How can such a group of people reside amongst us who've got such habits, such ways of life? Yet, my dear respected brothers and elders, the Prophet ﷺ came amongst these people. Slowly but surely, he made effort upon these people. He didn't change them physically. He didn't change their outward appearance. He didn't do anything of that sort, with due respect to brothers. What he did was he made effort on that one piece of meat that we hear from our ulama over and over again, which if that is made correct, then the whole body and every action that emanates from that body is also correct. That is the heart. Slowly but surely he made effort. He made effort. He made them understand. What did he make them understand? That these 360 idols that you have inside of Kaaba, they are not worth anything. He made them understand that your conviction in the statues that you're seeing are not worth anything. Bring your conviction on one Allah. Bring your conviction on that one Creator. Bring your conviction on that one Sustainer. When these Sahaba slowly but surely began to understand, how did they understand? They did not just verbally talk about the greatness of Allah. In their heart, they had the total and untenable conviction in that one Allah to such an extent, my dear respected brothers and elders, that if it meant they were ready to sacrifice their families, if it meant that they had to sacrifice their businesses, if it meant they had to sacrifice their own wives and children, if it meant they had to sacrifice their best friend, if it meant they had to sacrifice the company of the Prophet ﷺ, they were prepared as long as it was pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As long as their life was such that it became a life which was pleasing to Allah. If they understood that what I am doing is going to please Allah, then they had no second thought. They had no doubt in their mind that what I am doing will definitely provide me with khair. Short-term loss will give me a long-term benefit. But dear respected brothers and elders, these companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they took it upon themselves that La ilaha illallah means that nothing can come between him and the command of Allah. Nothing can come between them and the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they saw this in the practical life of the Prophet ﷺ. They did not have to look at anybody else. They saw the example of the Prophet ﷺ. They saw that every single thing he did, every word he spoke, every step he took, every action that he did was in total obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, was in total conviction with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My dear respected brothers, because his example was in front of them, for them to live that life became very easy. Yet, they did not live their life because of the Prophet ﷺ. They lived their lives because of Allah. So when the Prophet left this world, the Sahaba went from strength to strength. When the Prophet ﷺ used to give them a command to go to different parts of the world, they would go to different parts of the world. Yes, their hearts felt that, yes, I will no longer see the beloved Prophet ﷺ. Hazrat Mu'az, when he was sent to Yemen, and he says that the Prophet of Allah was taking me on my animal out, as was the sunnah, he was taking me out and giving me nasihat. And towards the end, when he was going to return back to Medina and I had to carry on my journey, he said, "O Mu'adh, may it not be," to this meaning, "O Mu'adh, may it not be that when you return you will find me, but you'll find my masjid and my grave." Hazrat Mu'adh, he said that I had such a love for the Prophet and the Prophet such love for me, that if I felt that I was to turn around and look at the Prophet, knowing that when I return from my safar, from my journey, the Prophet will no longer be gracing us with his presence, I would not be able to continue my journey. So with tears flowing from my eyes, I continued my journey, and with the tears coming out of the eyes of the Prophet, he returned back to Medina. The love of the Prophet ﷺ so strong that love, my dear respected brothers, was greater than any love they had, except the love of Allah. For the love of Allah, they were prepared to break the love with the Prophet ﷺ. They were prepared to break that bond of muhabbat. They were prepared to leave the most illustrious creation of Allah, the Prophet ﷺ, purely and only because of the love of Allah. Not only the Sahaba, but the children and women folk, all of them had this. But all of their loves, all of their muhabbat, all of their connections, they were prepared to break for the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything they were prepared to sacrifice, but one thing they were not prepared to sacrifice was their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything they were prepared to leave, one thing they would not leave was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They would go hungry, they would go thirsty, They would go without their family, but they would not go without Allah. This Allah, my dear respected brothers and elders, who took these companions, elevated their status, and made them an example for you and me today. The ulama, they tell us that in the Quran, Allah is telling the people of Iman, not anybody else, that all people of Iman bring Iman. We are deened out today, we pray our salah, we pray our Quran, we do our zikr. But what conviction do we have in Allah?